But there's plenty of big political news around, so let's cut through it all. And to wrap it up for us tonight is Sky News Political Editor Andrew Clennell. Andrew, thank you very much for coming in. All eyes were on, firstly, today, the mid-morning get-together that the Liberal Party had to find themselves a deputy. I don't know. You had Elliott pull out yesterday afternoon on radio. He was unopposed, Matt Kean. It gives you an indication of where the power lies in the Liberal Party in 2022, doesn't it?
Oh, there's been a view for a while that Matt Kean has the numbers. He helped Gladys get in the job and he helped Perrottet get in the job. And, yeah, I mean, he looks like the next leader of the Liberal Party, potentially in opposition.
Potentially in opposition, or...
Probably in opposition.
Does he make a play for the premiership in the start of 2023?
Well, that would shorten his career. I think it would have to get pretty desperate. Perrottet would have to be resigning over scandal or something of that nature, because we saw you're really going to own a defeat, because it would occur then, obviously. I mean, it looks like it's going to occur now. It's kind of odds on because of all the Barilaro business and the other issues they've had, and rising inflation and the sweeping out of Morrison and the like. But
so let Dom wear it and then stay on.
That's right. That at the least, or somehow you might be able to win. But if you change leader again, you're gone.
OK.
Right?
The repercussions of John Barilaro's appearance at yesterday's parliamentary inquiry into this New York trade job have certainly shaken up the government, with more evidence expected on Friday. Andrew, you quizzed the Premier hard at lunchtime today after they had their Liberal Party meeting about his nonchalant response twice to John Barilaro looking to apply for the job. Let's have a look.
Once he applies, doesn't the public service take the view we should give it to this man? This is one of their two bosses previously. He's obviously had the nod and wink to apply from you. Isn't the public service from that moment on always giving John Barilaro that job?
There was an independent process that was in place. Clearly there were problems with that process. No one was aware that those problems occurred.
Is that a fair process when he was Trade Minister, Premier?
No, Andrew, I'll answer the question and then we'll ask others to ask questions. There was an independent process. Clearly issues have come up with that process. We are all aware of that.
Wasn't he always getting the job from the minute he applied? Wasn't he always getting the job from the minute he applied?
I have no information in relation to that, and I'm not going to continue to provide a running commentary
but he had a rails run, didn't he?
In relation to this information.
He said on a number of occasions today to you and the other members of the press that it was a passing mention, a passing conversation. I bet he would have his time again and probably reacted differently. How damaging is it for the Premier?
I think it makes him look weak and not up to the job, frankly, Chris. I mean, if I'm totally honest about it, the guy's leaving Parliament. He asks you, he tells you he's going for a plum job in the government, New York Trade Commissioner, and you just go, great, go for it. It's just bad political judgment. He hasn't even left the Parliament yet. There's not even a couple of years space in between it. It looks like he's getting paid off. And how you can't see that as the Premier, and how you can just say, oh, it's just a passing comment, doesn't count because I'm Premier and I'm busy. I mean, the problem with this government is, it seems to me, they've cycled through to the fourth leader now. They've really spent a lot of time being chauffeured around in white cars, and they think they are entitled to certain jobs and certain positions, and they've lost their way.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? Entitlement and arrogance will always bring you down. One quick thing on a federal basis, 80 days into the job, the Prime Minister is on leave. I noticed the pundits are starting to scorecard the first 100 days. The Australian's Troy Bramston asking today, can Albanese beat the first term curse? You read the article. Is much of what you read are you in agreement with?
Yeah, I think he hasn't really put a foot wrong so far, to be honest, but he hasn't really been tested. And, someone in government did say to me it was fortunate for them that the inflation dragon started before they got in. Because imagine if it had have started after May, it would have been pinned at their feet. So they've had some fortune there. But look, Albanese is very strategic. He's very politically clever. He's clearly been underrated. And he's not making the gaffe so far, although he hasn't been put under the sort of pressure that Morrison did. So, but it's just too early. I mean, you've got to look sort of 18 months down the track. And, the only danger I see is that, and Morrison was criticised for this, is in danger of being seen as a do-nothing government. I mean, Troy Bramston wrote in that piece, they're not going to reform or change anything unless they really have to, apart from their election promises. And I guess that does concern me a bit, because that's just playing defence all the time.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got something to sell and you are playing defence, that's when events take over and you can get into political trouble.
Yeah, good analysis. Andrew Clennell, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Chris.